r/AskReddit. What was something that shocked you when you visited a foreign country? How truly polite the Japanese are. And how unbelievably clean the cities of Japan are. Polite to a fault, in my opinion. I'd rather you be honest than fake, and people seem to sugarcoat things in Japan. Unless you're fat. Japanese people have no problem pointing out that you're chunky. When I visited Tokyo, it was so clean when compared to other capital and large cities I had visited, London, Paris, Manhattan. It also felt incredibly safe. I saw Japanese people just leaving their wallets, phones, bags, etc. alone at their tables when they visited the toilet. You'd never dream of doing that in the UK. I've had it described as the most politely racist country. How corrupt the police force is in Mexico. My company has a factory in Mexico and we always hire the same driver for gringos coming to visit. Once when I was there we got pulled over and our driver told us to give him a $20 to bribe the cop. The driver and the cop then start having an argument in Spanish and eventually the cop radios someone, takes our $20 and goes. I asked the driver what that was all about and apparently he had a deal with the chief of police that his fares only had to pay the Mexican bribe not the American bribe and the cop had to call the station to double check that the deal was legit. Trains in India. Furious fighting, shoving, scratching, and clawing to get on. Then for the rest of the 8-hour journey scrupulous I'm so sorry I brushed your foot with mine politeness. You want politeness, go to Tokyo. The trains are jammed and a couple of times I have had men in uniform with white gloves gently pressing the crowd on board. Elderly Japanese women will simply poke their knuckle into a secret pressure point in your back that will make you move forward in agony. I have never been so happy to be 6 feet 1 inches as when I am jammed on those trains. Southeast Asia never fails to amaze. Here's a few top experiences. Hanoi, Vietnam. Sweet looking old woman. Looks like late 80s, but was probably younger. Shuffles up to a street corner where we're waiting to cross the street. She leans her back against a sturdy tree right next to us. Looks me directly in the eye and while maintaining eye contact lifts up her dress and starts to take a massive shit against the base of the tree. Even cracks a little smile mid-process. Siem Reap, Cambodia. Teenage girl feigning tears approaches us asking for milk money for her baby. I look at the baby in her arms, and it is that unmistakable bluish white purplish shade that indicates it is clearly dying. We continue on our way and eventually see another girl doing the same thing, then another, and another. After the fourth one we finally realized, even though it was a different girl each time, it was always the same fucking baby. They just hand the poor thing over from one to the next to keep the scam going. I'm 100% convinced that baby was dead by the end of the week. TBH, the baby was probably already dead. This is the worst thing I've read on this thread. That's just awful. Happens a lot in Asia. The babies are often drugged but usually not killed. Why kill a meal ticket? And it's known babies and young, impoverished looking girls get more sympathy money. I stayed a month in Saigon, Laos Central Highlands and, in the cities, this can be a good source of income. Edit, a word. I lived in Japan for a year. The satellite radio at my school had a channel called Rocky that played the Rocky theme song on a loop 24/7. They also have two channels called Alibi. One is an endless loop of the noise of passing cars and pedestrian chatter, and the other is the din of the pachinko gambling parlor. They are intended to be used as background noise when you call your wife and lie about where you are. When I went to New York I couldn't get over how familiar everything looked on my first day there. I must have seen way more films and TV shows filmed in Manhattan than I realized, but pretty much everywhere looked exactly as I expected it to. I know what you mean. When I went to New York I spent the whole time excitedly pointing at things that I'd seen on TV and films my whole life. Cops. Nick taxis. Diners. Yellow school buses. Traffic lights hanging over the road. I was like a little kid. Also, special mention to the people of NY who I was expecting to be rude and unhelpful. I don't know why, I just was, whereas they were the exact opposite. Every time we stopped to look at a street sign or consult a map someone would stop and ask if we needed any help or anything. Every time. Be it a guy in a suit on his way to work or a young girl on her way from school or a guy in overalls cleaning the street, everyone was so friendly and helpful. I just didn't expect it. How small all of the fruit was in England. One apple in the US is like 2 UK apples. I went through a lot of apples. Settle down, Ryak. How much Indian food there was in London. Not just London. Practically every high street in the UK has at least one. That's the great thing about having an empire. When your food is shit, just go out and acquire other people's. Also, how Mexican food is pretty much non-existent over there. God, I missed it so much. I must have gained 10 pounds in a week from all the Tex-Mex food I ate when I moved back. I got laughed at by a taxi driver in Romania for putting my seatbelt on. In Argentina the belt will probably be buried under the seat. If you ask for it, the driver will get it out for you all serious and everything, going all "Oh, certainly sir, excuse the inconvenience sir" like the finest butler, but be sure he will be laughing inside, and this will be a topic of conversation with his colleagues later. Falling snow. I'm Australian, so while we have snow, the chances of experiencing falling snow when you're on holidays is slim. The first time I experienced falling snow was when I was in Paris at the age of 20. I lost my shit, squealing, and had a ball. Everyone probably thought I was crazy, but for me it was magical and amazing. Swedish babies are hardcore. And people are awesomely chill and friendly. In mid-January, it was knee-deep snow everywhere, yet in Stockholm it was pretty common to see parents enjoying a drink at a cafe, with a queue of prams outside in the snow. The babies are wrapped up heavily, yes, but they are fully comfortable leaving them outside like that. No fears over child thievery, or worries about a cold. These kids are brought up to be metal right from the word go. It's awesome. I imagine if you tried that in the UK, or especially US, there'd be hysteria and child services would relieve you of your parenting. Edit, Englanding words correctly. Swedish person here. Till child thievery is a thing. How empty and in touch New Zealand is. I mean, you didn't see their tourist ad? It won several Oscars. Edit, guys, it was obviously the Lotta. How fucking clean Japan is. You can walk around Tokyo for a day and struggle to find as much as a gum wrapper on the ground. It is truly incredible. I wonder how you get a society like that. Like everybody collectively gives a fuck. I went to a gun shop in Texas in a large town. It was midweek. I couldn't believe how crowded the place was. I mean, I knew guns are a big thing in Texas, but to imagine that there was this many people wanting a gun at one of several gun shops at this time of the week was very interesting. Anyway, got a few happy snaps with some giant firearms. From India to New Zealand as a child made me feel like I was in heaven. I never knew a place could be so green and clean. In India I never even knew what grass was. I was 7 when I moved. God, I envy you. I'm from Iraq and my dream is to go live in New Zealand. When I visited Hollywood, I couldn't believe how disgustingly dirty it was, and how unsafe I felt. It may just have been that I was unlucky enough to experience a couple of crazy incidences in my first 2 nights, but it definitely wasn't all the glitz and glamour that I was expecting. Edit, I noticed as I posted this that I put incidences instead of incidents, but I decided to see how long it took someone to correct me. Amazingly, it took 7 hours and only 2 people pointed it out. Also, people seem to be assuming that Hollywood Boulevard was the only place I saw in the whole of LA, and that I've condemned the city because of this one area. This isn't true. I was just stating that it was shocking to me that it was so different to my expectations, but I had an awesome time in LA, ventured around to multiple different areas, and even had a great night out in Hollywood at an insane nightclub. Hell, even though it was shocking at first, I even like that I now have some crazy stories to tell from my time there. Basically all of Southern California is like that. Expensive, crowded, and disgusting. Unless you have a shit ton of money, then it's even more expensive, but less crowded and disgusting. The differences between northern and southern Italy. It's like night and day. Edit, for those still asking what the difference is, think of England but in reverse and with more sunshine. Edit, or the US. Goes to Milan. Whoa, I did not expect this at all. It's so cosmopolitan, so bustling and organized. It's more like France or Germany than what I imagined Italy to be. Man, where did all those Italian stereotypes come from anywhere? Goes to Naples. Spotted a Ferris wheel and resort surrounding a reservoir in Afghanistan. Wasn't prepared for that at all. Edit. Also, the social aggressiveness of females in Iceland. They will court a male in a heartbeat. Know any cheap hotels in Reykjavik? Thanks for all the information, people, but that was just a joke. Also, the social aggressiveness of females in Iceland. They will court a male in a heartbeat. Nice try, Iceland tourism. Shops are closed on Sunday in France except Subway and McDonald's. Not only France, Austria, Germany, Swiss also. And I think many other countries from Europe. How many US flags were everywhere? Just looking down a street you'd lose track after counting a dozen or so. The sheer huge size of everything too in the US and the cheap cost of junk food. Canada, that the friendly and polite stereotypes were actually incredibly true in my experiences. I loved it. The weather still shocked me even though I knew Canada got cold, until I experienced 2 Canadian winters I could never have even understood what that type of cold felt like. Other things, the amount of amazing squirrels, Canada's rampant marijuana culture. I'd heard of BC bud, but I didn't expect to smell weed every time I went outside somewhere. The traffic in Rome. I live in Finland and it's unusual if my trip to university is delayed by a single second by other people, so people wasting over 1 hour stuck in traffic every day would be the most frustrating thing I can imagine. My tour guide in Rome made the comment, red man dead man, green man dead man regarding the crosswalks there. Trust nothing, and only cross when absolutely sure no one is coming. In South Korea there is no separate shower in the bathroom. The shower head sprays directly on the floor and there is a drain in the corner of the room. This is true in most of Asia. I like it. Makes cleaning so much easier. I'm Swedish and when I went to visit the US I got shocked by how polite and nice everyone was. How cheap everything was in Portugal. Literally, I got a bottle of white wine in a grocery store for only €1.19. Edit. Should have mentioned the wine was marked down from another price. Shocked, and also loving, the complete lack of responsible service of alcohol laws in Bali. Get a bit drunk in a pub in Australia and you risk being cut off. In Bali they will serve you while you're lying on the floor vomiting, as long as you keep paying. When we were in Taiwan, my sister and I were mobbed by schoolgirls on nearly every corner who wanted photos with us. They were totally fascinated by my sister's blonde hair and my curly hair. I had never really considered that Asian people who have never left their country might have never seen any hair types besides straight and black before. A fairly unattractive, ginger, middle-aged Scottish friend of mine was mobbed in Asia. I asked why and he said in the broadest accent, "I suppose they think there's something of the dragon about me." How fat the majority of the people were in the Midwest United States. In Canada they sell milk in bags. Also ketchup flavored chips. Edit. Okay, you guys got me. I've only been to Ontario. Edit 2. I will try all dressed chips next time I'm in Toronto. Yeah, you know traffic laws. Puerto Rico don't. Germany, how dare you charge for ketchup?